Today's event was about improving transparency in tobacco lobbying. The Commission say their meetings were in conformity with the UN Convention on Tobacco Control. Surely they were only keeping to the letter of the law.
Well, there's the letter of the law. I disagree with their interpretation of the particular convention, but there's also the spirit of the law, and I don't think they're in compliance with the spirit of the law. I mean, one of the things, the guidelines in relation to this convention is to ask those who have signed up to it, including the EU, not just to be passive adopters of this particular convention, but to be proactive in terms of implementing it. And to my mind, proactivity means that they follow the lead of DG Health and proactively put online details of all their meetings with the tobacco industry, because it's not as if I'm asking them to reveal secrets that otherwise would not be revealed, because if people do make a transparency request, an access to documents request, in time they will get that information. But I don't think that's good enough. I think it's in keeping with both the law and in conformity with the spirit of this convention that they follow the lead of DG Health and release proactively details of their interactions with the tobacco industry.
You've mentioned DG Health as an exemplar of how to behave in a transparent way. Why should we be concerned about tobacco lobbying outside DG Health? The UN Convention concerns public health. What can the tobacco industry do outside this field that is of concern?
Well, the tobacco industry, because it's a huge global industry, and like any other industry, it has concerns in relation to trade issues, competition issues, better regulation, all of those issues. And if you look at the Transparency Register, and if you look at the files or the DGs that the various tobacco companies and tobacco interests lobby, there's a whole list of them. And in some cases, they don't even list DG Health at all. So it's clear that just like any other industry, they're lobbying all across, right across the Commission. But ultimately, the tobacco industry has a huge impact on public health, and therefore every area and every manifestation of its lobbying should be visible, and that is in keeping with both the law and with the spirit of the UN Convention.
You mentioned the Transparency Register. There is consultation open at the moment on the future of the register. What changes would the Ombudsman's Office like to see? One of the things that was mentioned today was the current exclusion of lawyers from the registry. Is this one of the areas that you would like to see, where you would like to see reform?
Very much so, because I think even in relation to this particular case, we noticed that meetings had taken place between lawyers acting for the tobacco industry and the legal services of the Commission and others. And these were not deemed to be meetings for the purpose of lobbying by certain of the officials in the Commission, because there were lawyers. They felt they could not possibly be lobbyists, and of course I completely disagree. There is of course lawyer-client privilege when it comes to litigation, but not when it comes to somebody working on behalf of a private interest and lobbying in relation to how a particular regulation might be changed or processed or whatever put together. They are lawyers, but they're acting no differently from non-lawyer or non-legally qualified lobbyists. Therefore, they should be seen in exactly the same way.
Where now? You've raised your objections, you've let the Commission know what you think, what you're unhappy about in their response. What other weapons do you have in your armoury?
Well, I'm hoping I have the power of good old public opinion for a start, because I think, as I said, I've said on numerous occasions, I'll say it here again, I was very puzzled by why the Commission didn't agree to this, because I thought it was an easy, straightforward recommendation to accept with little cost, very little even administrative burden in relation to what I was asking it to do. So I'm watching how things transpire over the next few months or a few weeks and months. I have got a lot of support from Parliament, from the Envy Committee. I've got support from various public health actors and others. And I'm hoping that when the Commission reviews my response to its response, which it will be getting shortly, that it will reflect again and perhaps change its mind. Now, ultimately, I could make a formal report to the European Parliament. It's something I think should be done very rarely because it means that all other avenues have failed. But I'm confident, certainly with the support of the Health Commissioner as well, who has said today that he will attempt to persuade his colleagues to accept my recommendation, that I will get it accepted and across the line, because I think it is very important for citizens. What we're ultimately talking about is the health of 500 million European citizens.